Welcome to a different kind of edition of Komets Corner. We are talking playoff hockey with the Komets playing tonight, Monday night in Iowa, game 3 of their first round playoff series. Shane Albahrani, of course, is in Iowa tonight and tomorrow and on Thursday. He's joining us now via Zoom to talk Komets hockey here in the postseason. And Shane, uh, excited to be in Iowa, I imagine, for the third game in 4 nights for this Komets team.
Yeah, it was a quick turnaround. We didn't have much of a holiday there on Sunday. We all met up at Coliseum about 1 o'clock yesterday and headed out about 1:30. So we were able to get here relatively early last night. And as you can see, the guys are on the ice right now for morning skate, getting ready for game number 3.
As far as this team goes, what's the vibe around this team? Obviously, game 1 did not start the way that they would have wanted. Game 2, a different story. A tale of 2 games, as Charles Dickens once wrote, I believe. So just talk a little bit about how they were able to flip the script and go from game 1 for game 2 and get a different result in those 2 games.
Yeah, game 1, this team hasn't had a playoff game in over 2 years, and I think that wasn't lost on the players. So they came out, really kind of flying around for the first 4 or 5 minutes. And it was one of those games where, I could tell if we don't score the first goal, we're going to be in trouble because we've got all this momentum, actually outplaying them over the first 5 minutes. And then Iowa scores on a play that was offside, but nothing we can do about that, but it was still a goal. And then you give up another one and you were unable to reclaim that momentum. And I knew we were in trouble there. And then going into the third period, it was great. We had a power play, able to score. And so the rally could begin. You managed to get a couple more on the board, but you give up a shorthanded goal, another power play goal. So, I've been saying that, power play chances and all that stuff diminish in the playoffs, but it kind of proved me wrong. In the first 2 games, there's a lot of power plays for both teams. But, you can't give up a shorthanded goal, especially when you're trying to rally. So I think a lot of lessons were learned just in those 24 hours. The Komets came out in game number 2 and played like they thought they were going to play in game number 1. They pretty much dominated from the get-go, even though they gave up that first goal again on a power play, but then they just took over. And, having Jack Dugan have a 4.9, 2 goals, 2 assists. Alex Albahrani had another goal. So the guys who you are counting on going into the playoffs are producing, and that's fantastic.
I want to talk about special teams. I'm glad you mentioned that because the Komets have 4 power play goals in 2 games. 4 power play goals for the Komets, but the penalty kill has given up 3 goals. Iowa's got 3 power play goals. So what have you seen from the Komets power play that's working, and what do they need to shore up on the penalty kill going forward to be more effective on the PK?
Well, I think part of it is that we got to stay out of the penalty box. I think that's a big thing. You don't have to kill penalties if you don't take them. So I think a lot of that also has to do with this roster had flipped over a little bit since the regular season had ended. So you had a different penalty killing line, you had a different power play line as well. So they were getting to know each other a little bit there in that first game. So I think really kind of cohesiveness really played more into that than anything else. They seemed to straighten it up a little bit there on Saturday night, but they gave up the 1 goal. But you're going to take a penalty every once in a while. You just got to kill it off. But the best thing to do is just stay out of the penalty box. And the officials, you got 2 officials here for each game, so they're judged a little bit tighter. I know some guys let the guys play. They don't want to dictate the game. So I think it seems like the more you play in these playoffs, the more the officials let go. Unless it's going to take away a scoring chance, it's probably not going to get called. So unless it is totally over the line, so I'm hoping the officials they kind of take away that ticky tack kind of stuff that we kind of saw there in games 1 and 2, like the play on Jack Borniak picked up a cross-checking minor, which from our angle up in the press box, I don't think it was a good call. But if you looked at that from the perspective of the official, yeah, he probably thought that was a cross-check. So you have the officials also learning each other as well through these first few games. So a lot of that plays into everything. And I think now you're into game number 3. I haven't seen the officials we got here tonight, but they're learning their way as well.
When you look at Alex Albahrani, Albahrani was a guy we talked about, that had 3 goals against his Iowa team during the regular season. What is Alex Albahrani doing at this point of this series? Because he's got 3 goals already and we're only 2 games in.
Yeah, you know what? He's a goal scorer, and he always knows where the puck is. That's the thing about Alex Albahrani, and he can put a team on his back. I've seen him make plays. Get the puck in the defensive zone. Next thing you know, he's snaking his way through the neutral zone. He's skating through three guys, and he gets a scoring chance. No, he's a guy who has a different gear, much like Jack Borniak, but he's got such a great scoring touch. He's got a great wrist shot. He's got an outstanding slap shot. He can score from anywhere on the ice, and he's got championship pedigree. And we brought him home for a reason. So he's here, and the fact that he's got 3 goals in 2 games is just magnificent.
Now, this is something I'm sure Komets fans want to talk about. The additions of Kyle Mayhew, Kepin, and Svetlikov all coming back. What does that mean for this team, and how can they impact this series going forward?
Well, right now, the only sighting has been Ethan Kepin. Ethan Kepin is here, still waiting for Kyle Mayhew and Alex Svetlikov. So I doubt we'll see these 3 guys tonight. Obviously, they're not here. But Ethan Kepin didn't skate this morning, so I'm going to assume he's going to be ruled out for tonight's game. But who knows? I have not seen the lineup. But I think, obviously, with the travel, they ended their season late Saturday night Fort Wayne time. So the fact that Kepin is even here right now is quite marvelous. That he was able to get here to Iowa in that short amount of time. So even I think if all 3 were here, I'm pretty sure they probably would be out for tonight's game. Just jet lag and getting their legs under them. Right. So I think we're going to roll with the lineup we had the first 2 games. And hey, it's a good enough lineup. Obviously, we came out and dominated game number 2. So this team has been really, really good on the road all season long. So I think there's actually more confidence going into tonight's game. But we know that reinforcements are going to be on the way probably for game 4.
Yeah, what do those guys bring when they do get in the lineup? Obviously, the times we've seen Svetlikov, he's been an offensive monster. Mayhew's the defenseman of the year in the ECHL. And Kepin, I think, has been one of the most improved players from last year to this year.
Yeah, you're injecting 3 all-stars into this lineup. It's really quite remarkable the amount of talent you're going to get into this lineup. Kyle Mayhew, ECHL Defenseman of the Year. Ethan Kepin, he's a guy who had 2 call-up to the AHL. He was a point-a-game player for the Komets. And Alex Svetlikov, another guy who can change games. We have seen that in his brief time here in Fort Wayne and at this level in the ECHL. So, yeah, no, it is an incredible injection of talent. I'm glad we get him here early on in the series, and hopefully, we'll get a win here tonight, and those guys come back, and we can take a 3-1 lead going into game number 5. But this Iowa team, I think they know that these guys are coming down, obviously, so they're going to be out for blood tonight to take that series lead. So this is going to be a really, really good game tonight.
When you take a look at the goaltending, Brett Brochu has been in goal the past couple of games. Any chance we see Nathan Day over the next couple of days? Because he obviously played well in the limited time that we saw him, especially following the Connor Unger injury.
Yeah, it's possible. I think Nathan Day, his resume already shows that he can do it at this level. Brett Brochu is obviously your number 1, but I think it's just going to come down to how Brett Brochu feels. He's your guy. So, with all the travel and these games stacked up back to back, we already saw Iowa. They're trying to figure out who their starter is. They went with McClellan on the first game, and then Rousseau for game number 2. So I'm expecting we're going to see McClellan here the rest of the series because they're at home the next 3 games. But I think it'll be up to Brett Brochu whether he is going to continue on. But obviously they're not afraid to throw Nathan Day out there, but I think it's Brett Brochu's net, and I think it's going to be up to him.
What's going to be the biggest key in your mind tonight? Obviously, this is a pretty crucial game, having split the series in Fort Wayne and having the next 3 in Iowa. Komets need to win at least 1 in Iowa to send it back here.
Yeah, you know what? They just got to get the lead. This team is a different animal when they get that lead. We've had some great third periods, one of the best third period teams in the league, but most of those goals that we scored in the third period, we were either tied or already had the lead. So you kind of throw out that stat out of the window here. You just got to get that momentum. And I think if we score the first 2 goals of the game, I think it's going to be just monumental going forward for the rest of this series. So it's a momentum swing here in the playoffs. It changes so fast. So you want to come out of the gates firing. And McClellan is a very tough goaltender. I think one of the reasons why we weren't successful in game one is that we need to make him uncomfortable. And he was very comfortable in that first game. So he's a big goaltender. You got to get in front of him. You got to crash the net. You got to say, hey, you might get knocked over here. We're going to screen you. We're going to do everything we can to make you uncomfortable. And it's interesting that Jack Gorniak was a teammate of McClellan at the University of Wisconsin. So I'm sure Jack the Flash is sharing some scouting there for those guys.
We don't stinking Badgers. Going forward, my last question: what are you most looking forward to about this series being in Iowa, about the next 3 games, and specifically tonight? Like, what are you really excited about and looking forward to?
I'm excited just to see this team come out and fire away and put some goals up on the board. You don't want to give these guys any hope. I mean, that's what you want to do. I mean, especially in the playoffs, that's what you want to do. You want to stomp out any hope that the other team has. So if you come out here on their home ice here in game number 3 and you win big, I mean, that's huge. I mean, I think to win by 3 goals on Saturday was fantastic, but you win by 4 or 5 goals tonight, and that really sends a message. But since you're going to get Kepin, Swetlikoff, and Mayhew probably back for game number 4, so you don't want to give them any hope. So that's what I'm looking forward to see how this team responds after that big emotional win on Saturday. But they play really well on the road. So I'm excited to see this team come out, and I'm excited for tomorrow night to see if Mayhew, Kepin, and Swetlikoff, what they do into this lineup, because now you're also juggling lines again with 3 guys back in the lineup. Who do you sit? Who plays with who? So then that's also interesting as well. So this series is going to be fantastic. I mean, we're already 2 games in, and you've already had a lot of drama, but we haven't really had a close one yet. So maybe that is in the recipe for tonight. But again, I think if you go out and you win big tonight, that is going to just be huge on a momentum position going the rest of the way.
All right. Sounds good. A lot to look forward to, especially tonight out in Iowa. Shane, enjoy Coralville as best you can over the next 3-4 days, and we'll chat with you hopefully in studio next Monday. But appreciate you joining us. And for Shane, I'm Glenn, and that's this week's edition of Komets Corner.